My name is Musa Adnan. That's Mohammad Arshad. This is ReRooted, and here's what we have coming up for you today.
The thing about university is, with the debt that's involved now, my opinion's similar to yours, where I think that university is more about the process of developing your skills, of growing yourself and learning how best to grow yourself and all the kind of things that you learn, more than it being about just a money thing. It's not really important what you have.
Yeah.
What's important is who you become. But I want to give you a very simple formula for leadership. And if you do this leadership thing, it will be easy for you to be a leader. The first thing is called REST. R-E-S-T.
Okay.
Right? So the first thing is responsibility.
I thought you were going to say actual rest. I was
Yeah,
going to say that's
yeah,
really
that's
good.
what everyone thinks. It's the opposite. Leadership is the opposite of rest. So right now, I'm the leader. I'm in charge of everything. Do it like Allah's watching you right now. Do it with sincerity. Do it with all the things that come with someone who is a person of taqwa. And I'm saying, if you do these 4 things in any field, you're going to make an amazing leader, inshallah.
I really like that. MashaAllah, Allahumma barak. I really, really like that. We're live. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa
Wa
alaikum
rahmatullah.
assalam.
Brother Muhammad Arshad, MashaAllah. Just to introduce you to many of our viewers, I think it's an important introduction. For all of you that don't know, Brother Muhammad is someone who has, from ground up, developed many of the Islamic organizations that you and I have benefited from in the past, iERA being one of them, Al-Maghrib Institute, and you've also launched your own institute, if I can call it that, where you deal with, empowering Muslims, young Muslims, to launch their own businesses and to, excel in life. It's called Muslim Mastery. How is that going for you?
Alhamdulillah. It's going really, really well.
MashaAllah.
Jazakallah khair for the introduction. It's actually really, really good to be here. We
MashaAllah.
haven't seen each other for a while.
Yes,
So
most definitely.
it's good to catch up with you as well, alhamdulillah.
Definitely. It's been very, very good. I've been excited to film this episode with yourself because there's a lot of topics that we want to discuss, and I think you're the right person to discuss them with. Mainly, for a lot of us. Actually, I want to start this off with a story.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you a story.
Please.
So I was walking through Westfield in Stratford with one of my good friends, and we were walking through different shops, window shopping. I was a little bit broke at the time, so I couldn't buy anything.
It's the worst time to do window
It's the worst
shopping.
time.
Yeah.
Teasing yourself. No, I'm only joking. But we walked into one specific shop. I won't mention the shop's name because you'll find out what happened. So we walk into this shop, and this brother, he recognizes me. So he comes up to me and he says, Musa, I'm in a dilemma. I really need your help about this specific issue. And I was like, okay, go on. Well, what's the problem? And he's working there, by the way. So his manager's walking back and forth, seeing him talking to me. And anyway, what he asks me about is, he says, I don't know what I want to study in university. I'm about to go to uni. I've applied, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to study. My brother is pushing me to study law. He's telling me, you got to study law, there's money in it, it's good, it's a lucrative career, etc., etc., etc. I'm really interested in something completely different. I'm interested in geography. What shall I do? Now, I put my thinking cap on and I thought to myself, when you advise people, you have to bear in mind who you're advising.
Yeah.
Some people, you lay the cards on the table and you let them pick the cards. Some people, you need to hold their hand and tell them this is what you need to do. This brother was so confused because even when I laid the cards out to him, he was just like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I said to him, bro, study geography. Trust me, you'll do good in geography. What advice would you give to people who find themselves in those situations? It's a big situation.
It's a big situation. And I think what I've found is that it's harder today than ever before.
Yeah.
Because we have a situation where choice has gone like that to that. When I was growing up, we had 4 TV channels.
Yeah.
4 TV channels,
Now
right?
there's like
That was it. And
500.
then and if you're a child and you're watching TV, you would wait for 3:50 or 3:45, and then you would watch till about 5:30, and that would be it. There's no more cartoons, nothing. But now we have a situation where choice is so big, right? So one of the things is to identify what are the key issues here. So the first issue I'm seeing is that brother you mentioned, he was struggling with making the decision.
Yeah.
Right? So one thing is around making the decision. This is what comes from choice and stuff. There's another element, which was the conflict. The conflict of someone else telling him what to do and what he thinks he should be doing. Right? One of the other things is being in a rush. So you're telling me people are at uni and they're like trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Because they believe right now I should have it all figured out. Why is that? Right? Because certain things are all figured out. If I want to watch something, I go on YouTube, I'll go on Netflix, I watch it. Right? On demand life. But with the kind of things that you're talking about, what should I dedicate my life to? It's not going to be like that.
Yeah, it's
right?
not as simple as that.
So the kind of things that I would say is that I remember even myself, after I graduated from university, I did business at university. I remember sitting outside Wembley Park Station and I was in the car with my dad and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was like, I don't have a clue what I want to do.
After you graduated?
After I graduated.
Wow,
Imagine that, right? I've graduated, I don't know what to do. I did business and information systems, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So here are my options. I'm like, if you don't know what you're doing, everyone's saying to me, go and become a teacher, right? Really bad. But become a teacher. So that was one option. The other option is if you don't know what to do, you study more. So let me do a master's. And then the third thing was I'm outside the station now. I'm about to go for a job interview. And I said, Dad, if I don't get this job, I'm going to do a master's, inshallah. So I went to that job interview and alhamdulillah, so grateful to Allah that I got that job.
Wow.
And it was in a field that I didn't think I'd ever go into, which was like sales.
Okay.
Right? So for me, I was clueless as well. And so the first thing to realize is that it's okay that you don't know what you should be doing. It's completely fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how do you deal with, because look, to play like devil's advocate here, and to be honest, it's not even devil's advocate. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with what you're saying now? How do you balance it where it's okay to be unsure?
Yeah.
But, you know, in comparison or parallel to that, you're in a situation where you've just done your A-levels, let's say, or you've done your BTech, whatever, you finished college, and now you're ready to go to university. You have absolutely no clue what subjects you want to study at uni. You have no clue.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So what I would do is I would say that it's between three things. Okay. So the first thing I would do is I would basically think about just like you said to him, about what he likes, what he enjoys. Yeah. So this is a lot of time people call this the passion. So I would really get deep and think deeply about my passion. And by the way, when you're making decisions like this, these decisions should always be written down. If you're making a big decision in your life like this, you don't want to just be thinking, because your thinking will go on forever. So you want to get a piece of paper, you want to sit down and say, right, what are all the things I'm passionate about? And you list down the things you're passionate about. It could be anything. It could be the type of food. It could be the type of stuff you like doing. So one is passion. The second thing you want to do is you want to focus on your strengths. So if someone's 7 foot, people are going to say, you know what, you'd make a great basketball player, right? Yeah, because he's naturally got that strength. Yeah. So the other thing to look at is, what am I good at? And what you're good at, no matter who you are, you're going to be good at something.
Allahu Akbar.
Right? Something you're going to be great at. Mm-hmm. So the second thing is to look at your strengths. So your passions, your strength. And then the third thing I would advise is to look at what I would call demand. Right? So make sure that, like, there's people out there that go and do degrees in Star Wars. Okay, you might love it, you might have a strength in it.
Wait, does that exist?
Yeah, things like that do exist, right?
Okay.
Where there's a degree in a really random subject. Okay. But when there's no real demand for that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do like that, right? So it's about having a mix between these three things, where you're passionate, where your strength, and also this thing about having the demand there. But one more thing I want to say to you is you need to understand that if I said to you, imagine you're an alien, you've never eaten any food, and you come and I say, I've got all this food here, which one do you like best? Which one do you want to eat for the rest of your life? And you've never tasted any of them.
That's a situation.
That is a situation,
That's literally
right?
it,
So what's the answer to that question then?
Take it bit by bit, slowly.
Right.
Try different stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it, right?
Figure out what you like.
You need to figure out different things. So when I first started, I didn't know nothing about leadership. I didn't know nothing about doing anything. What I did is I did one thing, and I was like, you know what? I think I really like event management. Let me do event management. Then I did more event management, and I was like, I really like this. But you know what? This whole thing around people management, this is quite cool as well. And then I was like, oh, you know what? This whole thing about training people is really cool. And so when I tried different things, that's when you experience which one you like more, which one you're good at. So I would advise someone like that to go on a crash course of experience. And this is the problem today, that most people are overthinking things in their heads when they should be going out there and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, and then saying, actually, you know what? I'm actually quite good at that. As opposed to just doing it all up here.
But I want to flip the script now here.
Sure.
A little bit. I believe, personally, this is my personal belief, I believe a lot of people find themselves in that situation after university, specifically speaking now, because they've gone to university for the wrong reason altogether. I'm really against this as well, personally speaking. People look at university and they see dollar signs and they think, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a job and then I'm going to make money. And wallahi, I swear by, God, I really believe this. You need to have the mentality as a Muslim that your rizq, your sustenance, your wealth is with Allah. Because I've met people myself, and I know people, and I know myself, and I know situations I've been in, and other people, and I'm sure you know people like this as well, where there are people, typically speaking, they don't have a degree, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have what normal people have, what society says you should have, but they're the most wealthy people you'll meet. Most wealthy people. Or maybe he's one of the most famous public speakers, but he hasn't educated himself to that level. He hasn't done the typical stuff. Why is that though? So why is he so successful? Simply because that was in his sustenance, that was what was predestined to happen to him, and that's why it happened to him. So rather than focusing on, I need to make loads of money, I need to go uni, I feel like people don't spiritually prepare themselves enough. Maybe not even at all. They're not spiritually, and I know that when I'm talking about this, some people at home are gonna be thinking, what's this guy going on about? This is not practical at all. And that's also a sad bit. I don't know what you're gonna think of this, because we haven't spoken about this beforehand, but thinking of spirituality as being something that's not practical, or when you're making dua, or you're trusting, you're having firm tawakkul, yes, you try your best, but you're having tawakkul in Allah, that in 5 years I trust in God, I trust in Allah, that I'm going to be in a financial position that's going to be a good one. I'm going to be comfortable. And I've seen this happen time and time again with people I know. I know one brother, he was not a Muslim before. Let's talk about the CEO of iERA, for example. Currently, Ustad Hamza Zotsis is the CEO of iERA. He was a non-Muslim. Maybe he was doing crazy stuff before. Do you think he ever thought, I'm going to be getting paid, I'm going to be working for an Islamic organization that's iERA, and I'm going to be getting paid for that work that I'm doing, because obviously it's work, right? This is his work. And I'm going to be the CEO, the head of an Islamic organization, one of the leading ones, if not the leading organization worldwide, for calling people to Islam. He would have never thought that. So even if he had done a degree in accounting or business or law or this, that, whatnot, he's ended up here, and he would have always ended up here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think
I just went on a bit of a rant, but
you picked up 50 subjects.
I know.
What you started with was actually about university.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
By the way, I love the analogy you made about Hamza not knowing any of this stuff, because it shows the way life can go, really. And the thing about university is, with the debt that's involved now, my opinion's similar to yours, where I think that university is more about the process of developing your skills, of growing yourself and learning how best to grow yourself and all the kind of things that you learn, more than it being about just a money thing. So I think you're completely right there, that it should be focused more on development, because it's not really important what you have.
Yeah.
What's important is who you become.
Exactly. Most definitely. I'm a firm believer in that. And I've seen people for example, one of my friends, or one brother I know, he went to university and he studied finance. He came out, he worked in a bank. It wasn't for him. He said, you know what, I'm going to work around. He was doing deliveries for food companies, and he was working for JD, selling shoes to people. You done a degree in finance. You shouldn't be in that position, but you are. It goes to show you that it's not in the degree, it's something else. It's in the Quran, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ, that in the skies is your rizq. That's where it is. It's in the sama. It's not with you here. And as soon as you internalize that as a person, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ, then you really realize, okay, what should I be doing here to get what I really want? Even if it's money, what should I be doing here? It's really, really interesting. Speaking about that, specifically with young people as well, because they're very focused, they're very money orientated, and I just think it's something that you need to do. You need to spiritually develop yourself, and then you'll get to those positions.
And I think there's a bit of a paradox here as well, because I think there's one level where you need to know that today we are used to getting our way in a lot of things.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like I told you before, if I wanted to watch a TV program, I would wait. Sorry. Yeah. If I had to watch a TV program that I liked when I was a child, I would wait till Tuesday evening.
Wait,
can you not get over that?
No, I have to mention why it's so funny.
Go on.
It's so funny because our producer before the show told us, guys, make sure your phone's on silent.
Yeah.
And his phone wasn't on silent.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point. I was just going to pretend it never happened and carry on.
I just like embracing it.
So as I was saying that, basically, at my generation, if we liked a program, we had to wait 1 week to see a show.
Okay.
Now think about that desires in you to watch that show today, right now.
Yeah.
And then I say to you, you have to wait a week.
People,
it's crazy.
People
for
will
today.
drop it. They'll forget it.
They
won't
it's
watch
gone,
the show.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that there's that element of it that we're so used to getting what we want right now on demand. Okay. But the reality of life, and this is where a lot of the younger brothers need to kind of think about this, the reality of life is not like that. Okay. Now, I'm a big believer that we have potential which is way beyond what we think is possible. Right?
Yeah.
Way beyond that.
Definitely.
But we need to realize that there's also the qadr of Allah.
Yeah.
Right? So it might be that the thing you desire most in your life is children. Okay? And it might be you get married and you can't have children.
Yeah,
this is the qadr of Allah. I'm not saying you don't try. I would say you try and enjoy the process of trying, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's written for you that you cannot have children, then you will not have it. And so I'm saying the strength of the believer is rising above that part.
Yeah.
Right? Saying that, okay, yeah, I want money, yeah, I want a wife, yeah, I want a child, yeah, I want all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? Deep down, maybe your qadr is not like that.
It's amazing that you mentioned that specific example about children, because recently I was told about a story of someone in a hospital, and this sister, she had cancer, and she's currently got cancer, and her and her husband were trying to have a kid, a child, for years upon years, 7-8 years, and the doctor specifically said to them, now you have to make sure you don't have kids because she's terminally ill. She's got cancer now, and it can be detrimental for her health and the baby's health. We do not allow this. You cannot have any kids. And while she had cancer, she got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
And the baby came out perfectly fine.
Alhamdulillah. Amazing.
But the moral is, subhanallah, she tried for years and she was normal, healthy, fine. But Allah willed for it to be when she was at her weakest.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it worked out perfectly fine. So it just goes to show what you're saying. The qadr of Allah is something definitely we need to internalize. Moving on, one of the things that you focus a lot upon, and you already mentioned it towards the beginning of the show, is leadership. You talk about taking leadership and being a leader. I find it interesting that you focus on that. And you're definitely the right person to speak about this. We live in an age, as you mentioned, where we have all of these facilities. Everything's on demand, but we also have so many facilities. If you want to go uni, no problem, tomorrow, alhamdulillah. You want to go college, no problem, alhamdulillah. You got no qualifications, no problem, you get qualifications. You want money, no problem, many job opportunities. There's so many options to do what you want to do. Yeah, we live in an age where we lack leaders as Muslims. There's so much potential to become a leader, but at an age where there's maybe the most potential in history, there's the least amount of leaders that we have as Muslims. Why do you think this is the case? Why are we so lacking in terms of leaders? Or do you believe that we do actually have leaders, but there's something else going on?
Okay, so this is like something very close to my heart, because I had a really good teacher of mine. He said that he believes that the solution for this whole ummah is two things. One is unity and leadership. Like if we get unified, truly unified, and we have great leadership, the ummah will sort itself out. Right?
Wow.
So I think leadership is a huge topic, really, really important. I want to ask you a question, right?
Okay.
So where did you pray Jummah last week?
I was in Switzerland last week, so I didn't pray.
You were
Jummah.
traveling. Okay,
Yeah,
the Jummah before that.
the week before that. You put me on the spot now.
Are you gonna admit publicly you don't pray Jummah?
No, I pray Jummah.
I'm joking.
But I'd be in different locations.
Okay.
I was. I'm gonna get to it. You got it. I prayed Jummah.
What's your local?
I don't
masjid?
always pray in my local, but it's a masjid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a masjid you prayed in recently.
Let's say, for example, this is
gonna really bad.
Really bad.
cut this
My
out,
memory is really bad.
Cut this out.
Subhanallah.
I'll just ask you what masjid,
Okay.
and then you'll just give me a masjid.
I prayed recently with one of my teachers. He led Jummah in. I think this is the last place I prayed Jummah. My teacher led Jummah at University of Hertfordshire.
Okay.
Hertfordshire University. I prayed
Right.
Jummah there.
You prayed Jummah at University of Hertfordshire. Okay. Tell me something you ate today.
I had a samosa with salad.
Okay. What else did you eat?
No, with you.
What samosa? Was it a veg samosa?
It was a vegetable one.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had a licorice toffee sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you going for dinner tonight?
I don't know.
You don't know. You know, you praying, and all of us, we pray Jummah in these masajid. Where do you think these masajid came from?
Okay. People made them.
Which people made them?
Muslim people made them.
No. Leaders made them.
Mm.
Every masjid we have in the UK today, that came across because one person or a group of people took leadership. And they said, you know what? Today we're going to establish a masjid in this area. The halal food that we eat, the meat, the chicken we have. Why? Someone said, you know what? We're in this country of the UK. We're going to have chicken that's going to be halal and we're going to eat it. And your father and his forefathers, they decided, you know what? We're going to break through the barriers and we're going to come to this country when no one else has done it before. So for me, I believe leadership is part of our tradition.
Wow.
It's all around us, and I think it's everywhere.
That's inspiring. From that perspective, I've never thought about it like that.
But people don't see it like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because what do they see as leaders? They see, oh, corrupt leader there, we're in trouble. But the leadership that we see around us, if we open our eyes, is amazing. And you know, one of the reasons why iERA is so great, mashallah, tabarakallah, it isn't just because of people like Hamza and Abdul Rahim and this. What happened in a place like iERA is that we had these people who were true leaders in their areas, and they came together and they did amazing work. You know, and I'll give you one example of this. Someone like Jamal. Do you know Jamal?
Yeah.
Right? So he is an amazing leader in his field. He does videography, production, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, he's the media person at iERA.
Yeah. So one thing about Jamal, right? This is the guy who, when we're working, even though we're tired, he'll be like, no, you know what, let's keep doing, even though his work's done, he will like keep going and keep trying to do the shot in another way, because he feels a responsibility over the work that he's producing to such a high level that he's got to mastery, you know? And so I'm saying that I believe if you're looking closely, you'll see leaders in the food that you eat, in the places that you pray at, even the country that you live in.
Yeah.
It all started with leaders.
So so you've actually completely turned it now. So you're saying there's a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
We have
I'm saying huge amount of leaders.
in their own respective, ways, etc. Why is it then do we see on mainstream television, in mainstream arenas, in mainstream places and spaces, there's not many Muslim leaders?
Yeah, I think there's a, in Islam we have this kind of paradoxical, it seems paradoxical relationship with leadership, right? Because on one hand, we're told by the Prophet ﷺ that every one of you is a shepherd, is a leader.
Yeah, for his own
like
flock.
Men, women, everyone is a leader. So this whole leadership thing, we need to realize the Prophet ﷺ said, that's you, boy. Doesn't matter who you are, that is you.
Yeah.
So this is one thing we need to embrace, that leadership's not about that guy over there who's leading us.
Yeah.
Leadership is about me being a leader. Even the Prophet ﷺ said, if you see something in the street, picking it up is a piece of iman. That's a leader. Someone who goes and everyone's passing through the traffic and there's something on the road, everyone's passing, no one's taking responsibility.
He's breaking the boundaries.
He's breaking boundaries. He's a leader, right? And this is what I'm saying to you, our tradition as Muslim, it enforces leadership upon us in that sense. So you go and you pick up that piece that's in the middle of the road and you are the leader there.
So then, do you feel like, so this is a question for you then, because in the mainstream as I mentioned, in mainstream arenas, in mainstream places, I feel like personally it's difficult for Muslims to survive
Definitely.
in mainstream arenas.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, and I think you've already answered it by the way the expression you use. Do you feel like you have to be a sellout? Yeah, excuse the term, but you have to be a sellout. You have to sell out your deen. You have to, downplay Islam in order to be in mainstream arenas? Or do you feel like it's possible, but it's very difficult?
What do you mean by mainstream arenas?
So I mean, for example, being a presenter on the biggest TV channel that there is.
Yeah.
With a beard though.
Yeah.
With a hijab. But with proper hijab.
Yeah.
Looking like a proper Muslim.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's possible or it's not possible? That's in TV presenting. Let's say, for example, in food. Do you feel like someone can be a head chef in a restaurant, in a mainstream place, or maybe, a master chef, on TV, but they outwardly, for example, look like yourself, look like a clear-cut Muslim. This guy, no doubt, he's a Muslim.
Yeah, I think politically there's lots of challenges there. But I'm saying to you that I believe that leaders are all around us. And I believe there's so many Muslim leaders. And I believe that our tradition as Muslims enforces us to be the best leaders. Why? Because if you have the level of leadership that the Prophet ﷺ had, then you will be the best chef in that area. You will be the best news presenter.
So then if we have so many leaders, why do we find... I'm just playing devil's advocate
Bismillah, go for it.
Why do we find ourselves in the situation that we're in? We're in, a negative situation worldwide. There's so many bad things happening to Muslims. The New Zealand attacks happened. SubhanAllah, many Muslims butchered, killed like that. Why are things happening to us in this manner? If we have so many leaders, where is the leadership in challenging these issues?
But this is what I'm saying to you. Like, if you look at the New Zealand example, you had that story of that man in the second mosque who basically ran out, chased the guy, and scared the guy to run off and reduce the amount of murder that he committed. That's leadership.
Yes.
Right? He could have just run away, done something else, and he went there. So you're asking on the bigger level.
Yes,
right?
I am.
Where's the leadership on the bigger level?
On the bigger level.
But I'm saying that...
But you're saying it more on an individual
I'm saying
basis.
not only individual, I'm saying on a very, very minor level of forget that. Think about you as a leader. Because you're saying, how do we produce leaders? How do we have an ummah of leaders? How do we have leaders ahead of us? I'm like, if you can't take leadership to pick up that piece of thing that's on the road, how are you expecting the whole world to be these leaders that sort your life out? How?
Makes sense.
So I'm saying it starts with you. It starts with me.
So you're saying if all of us really acknowledge that we are leaders, because you've mentioned it now. And I'm sure many people that are leaders might not even know that they're leaders because they do the things that you mentioned. So what you're basically saying is be a leader, acknowledge you're a leader, act upon that. And I'm sure when you acknowledge it and you act upon it much more than you would normally. So now you're acting upon it. In turn, what would happen is you'd find on the mainstream levels, things would change. Is that what you're...
I'm saying that, of course, we need to do more leadership training for those people that are higher up and in different positions. But also what we need to realize is there could be 100 people out there who are leaders and they have no social following. They don't have tens of thousands of people who are on their every word and this and that. But what they're doing behind the scenes
makes a difference.
Massive difference. And they are the true leaders. Like some of these organizations I've worked with, there's guys who are behind the scenes. They inspire me so much because no one's watching like me and you, we're here now, everyone's watching us. Who's watching a producer? No one's watching him. No one knows who he is, right? But he's here like at 9 p.m. at night and he's doing this. That's inspiring, bro.
Definitely. And I think that's where many of us, need to find ourselves on our journeys and find where we can be leaders in our own way. And I'm very happy that you touched upon it in that specific way that you did, because it really reflects truly on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he expressed to us that each of us in our own capacity and our own right is a leader. Each person. The mother is a leader in her own capacity. The father is a leader of his whole family. He's the Amir. The leader of the country is a leader. And I think where one of our issues lies when we mention the word leader, the leader of a country comes up.
Yeah.
And we don't think about it on the grassroots level.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, the grassroots level is what made the country.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think definitely, if us as Muslims understand this and we internalize this, we will drastically change the issues that we.
And let me give you a very simple formula for leadership, because especially a lot of the younger people watching, they're like, "How am I a leader?
Yeah,
I'm not a leader. I don't even know what to have for breakfast this morning, right?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to be a leader?" I was in the same position. I had no leadership experience at all, right? But I want to give you a very simple formula for leadership, and if you do this leadership thing, it will be easy for you to be a leader. The first thing is called REST, REST.
Okay.
Right? So the first thing is responsibility.
I thought you were going to say actual rest. I was going to say that's
that's what everyone thinks. It's the opposite. Leadership is the opposite of rest.
Yeah.
But REST, right?
Okay.
R stands for responsibility.
Okay.
Because ultimately, that's what Prophet ﷺ said, you're responsible. What are you responsible for? You are responsible for getting them to a destination.
Okay.
Right? So ultimately, leadership is about taking that responsibility. There's a thing on the piece or on the floor. I'm the one who's going to take responsibility. Or we have to get to Jannah. I'm the one who's going to take responsibility for getting us to Jannah. So the first thing is rest, or responsibility, right?
Okay.
The second thing is example. If you're a leader, you have to lead by example. If I tell you and my whole team, guys, make sure you're on time, make sure you're on time, make sure you're on time, and then I come late every time, like, what kind of example does that set?
And that's what happens a lot.
Yeah, it does happen all the time.
And that's why everyone comes late.
Yeah. And the impact of that is not the lateness or the example. The impact of that is people lose trust. Why?
And respect.
Yeah. Why? Because there's no integrity. Your actions and your words don't match, right? So if you're a leader, you have to make sure that you embody the example of the things you expect.
Yes.
Right? So responsibility and example. The third thing is service.
Okay.
You need to realize that as Muslims, our tradition is actually of following. Like, leaders are not only the one that lead the way, they follow the way. Follow the way of who? They follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ. They follow the way of the scholars and the tradition. So we already have the path in front of us. We're not going to be leaders who create a new way to Jannah. Leadership is about following, and following is about serving. Right?
Yeah.
So the S is actually about serving the people. And that's why there's a guy called Simon Sinek. He wrote a really good book. He said, leaders eat last. Why? Because the leader's not the guy who goes to the front of the buffet line and goes, let me eat quickly and I'm hungry. He's the one who watches his whole staff, make sure every single person in his team has eaten, and then he goes, you know what, now everyone's eaten, I'm going to eat now. And he's the one serving everyone. So service is the third thing. And then the T for rest is taqwa. And this embodies you doing leadership like Allah's watching you. So right now, I'm the leader, I'm in charge of everything. Do it like Allah's watching you right now. Do it with sincerity. Do it with all the things that come with someone who is a person of taqwa. And I'm saying, if you do these four things in any field, take responsibility, lead by example, be in the service of the people that you're trying to help, and then have taqwa, you're going to make an amazing leader, inshallah.
I really like that. MashaAllah, Allahumma barak. I really, really like that. That rest is very, very easy to remember. Responsibility, example, service, and T is taqwa.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar. Jazakallahu khair for that. Moving swiftly on, empowerment. I think, personally, you can comment on this, empowerment is a prerequisite to being a leader. I think you need to be empowered. You need to be someone that's got that motivation, got that drive to be a responsible person, to be an example, to be at people's service, and to have taqwa. You need to be empowered. What words could you give us to empower many of the viewers watching? That why should that kid who's 17 years old get off his backside, in blunt terms, and actually go out there and achieve his goals? Why should he do that for? Because, there's a lot of people, there's YouTubers, Mark Devella, Gary Vee, we've spoken about, many people like Tony Robbins. I actually haven't seen anything to do with Tony Robbins. People have spoken about, he's, I think, from the old times. But, there's even modern day, motivational speakers, some of the names we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Who constantly go on about don't be lazy, get up, wake up at 5 a.m. Waking up, I cut out social media for 30 days and this is how it impacted me. Yeah, but what's the point? Why should I do that for? How do we get empowered?
That's a deep question. I think the first thing we need to look at is, what I would say is that you need to realize, if you're that 17-year-old, that you are capable of things that you can't imagine. You cannot imagine. Right?
Yeah.
You cannot imagine it.
It's true.
And the truth is that you don't believe that you're capable of that stuff. But you know what the truth is? I believe in you. And all the people that have been on that journey, they believe in you. You know, when I was at school, I used to have you go parents' evening.
Yeah.
Do you know what teachers say to children when they're not doing well, to their parents? Because they can't say, your child's dumb, man. Like, forget this one, get another one. They don't do that stuff, right? Yeah. What they say is what they used to say to my parents. They used to say, oh yeah, he's like, his grades are not great, he's got potential. And it was used as like a kind of a code word for saying, look, he might not do that well. But the truth is, the potential that you have is crazy. And so if they can say that about someone like me, and then I can go off and do other things, so can you, right? And it's the same thing for you. Like, imagine yourself, Musa, like you have doubts at 10 years old as a child growing up and this and that. Did you believe that you would have these followers that you have on social media? Did you believe you'd be doing this great dawah work?
No.
Did you ever believe that was possible?
No.
Like, even if I came to you at that young age and said, this is what's going to happen, you'd be like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's the case with many of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, many of us, subhanAllah. I mean, I mentioned Ustad Hamza, his example. I think his example and the example of every revert is an amazing example.
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't have thought. The reason I mentioned revert is because as a born Muslim or Muslim, you know what I mean when I say born Muslim, born into a Muslim family, it's not shocking for you that at 10 years old you knew about Islam and now you're praying and you've grown a bit. It's not shocking. But for someone that grew up in a completely, like, an environment we only see in movies.
Yeah.
You know, when we used to watch them, we would see it in movies. Oh, you know, so-and-so and whatnot, they having pork and I don't know whatnot. Living a completely different lifestyle, you know what I mean, yeah?
Yeah.
Seeing someone change from that lifestyle to living like you and want to be like you and growing their beard and, you know, praying their salah, praying to God and remembering God and giving da'wah, calling other people to Islam, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And you see many reverts, specifically reverts in positions of leadership.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying to you, that it all starts at belief.
Yeah.
That someone coming along, and this is why it's so powerful when you have mentors and you have people that can actually help you, that they come along and they believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. I'll give you a very quick example, right? I was learning martial arts with a guy and we were doing kind of warm-up drills and stuff. And he said to me, okay, now's time, do a press-up. And I'm like, bro, look at the size of me, man. Do you think I can do a press-up? I can't do a press-up.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean you can't do a press-up? Get down and do a press-up. And I said, no. So I had no belief that I could do a press-up. Yeah. And I thought it's not possible, right? And he's like, no, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, you get down and I go, bro, I can't do a press-up. He's like, when was the last time you tried? And I was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, like, actually tried it. He's like, get down and do a press-up. I got down and I did a press-up. And I was shocked. I was shocked because I put a limit on myself. All these years, I'm too big, I can't do a press-up. And it took one guy to come along and believe in me and go, you know what? You can do this. And I ain't taking no for an answer. And so when you believe in someone like that, and that's why leadership is so beautiful, because if you as a leader can take that time and that care to put it into someone else and raise them up because they don't believe in themselves, you will take people to the moon. And when they go there, they'll take others.
Yeah, Allahu Akbar. I think it's really inspirational. I think it's just about acknowledging your potential. You know, what you're speaking about, acknowledging your potential and really realizing there's many stories of many people who came from really bad backgrounds and they made it out and now they're here, you know, whatnot. You know, people like, for example, it's crazy. I don't know about this person's background, but like, I don't know, it just randomly came into my head. There's a basketball player. His name's LeBron James.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know what background he came from. I don't know if he came from a rough background, I'll be honest with you. But even if he came from, like, let's say a middle class background, imagine, he would never have imagined, I'll say this, I'll put it on the table, he would have never imagined that there's going to be a day, not I'm going to be an NBA player, fine, that's crazy maybe for him.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a day where I'm going to be out there, I'm going to have my own shoe, and Nike's going to give me a deal. Do you know how much his deal was worth?
No.
$1 billion.
Wow.
A lifetime
That's
deal.
money.
Lifetime sponsorship.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
That's crazy.
That's insane money.
Insane.
You would never imagine that. And now that's in terms of financial things. Even in terms of spiritual things, there's people I've seen, there's someone, we read these stories all over the place. I was reading a student of knowledge, he studies, and he's currently in Saudi Arabia in a city called Qasim. So there's different places you can go and study. Qasim is known to be like a rough area in the sense where it's not like Riyadh and Jeddah, and it's not like built up the way they are. It's a little bit more, a little bit more traditional in that sense, where it's still got some years on it before it becomes like more modern like those cities. So he said, like, I remember I didn't have money for the bus, or I used to only have money for bus and food, and I used to eat, and I used to sit down, I used to read basic books in Arabic or what. I would have never imagined I'd be here, like studying on a proper serious level and be able to understand everything and whatnot. And that's how it is with everything. And I think the human mind is capable of things that are amazing. It just limits itself. It limits itself, and that's partly shaitan as well.
Of
honestly,
course. Shaitan wants you to just sit there.
He's
and
an
do nothing.
opportunist. He's an opportunist.
Absolutely.
And shaitan wants you to literally be behind and backwards and whatnot, and you just got to fight it.
And this is why mindset's so important. And this is why Muslim Mastery, we focus so much on the mindset. And for this person that you mentioned, I want to give you 4 H's. So a H for what they should do. Right. So the first thing I would say is for them to be great, and I believe they can be great, is for them to have hunger. Okay. Hunger is very, very important. And I think this is one of the problems. It's like a lot of the people who are super wealthy, they complain their kids don't have hunger. Why? Because they have everything. Right. So having that level of hunger is very, very important. If you have that hunger, that will drive you to get up and do something.
Most definitely.
So it's very important that you get your mind hungry and you get it set. And that's why, again, passions are good, because if you're hungry for that passion, like geography, you can then go after it. So the first H is hunger. Make sure you got that hunger. Second thing is that after the hunger, what you need to think about is that you take that hunger and then you take hard work. Right? Because you can't just have hunger alone. You have to have hard work to go and get that food. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yes.
So you got to be hungry. You got to go out there and you got to do hard work. And then the third thing is that when it comes down to it, ultimately you have to have high standards. Because a lot of the people today, they have low standards. They have low standards for themselves. They have low standards of other people. They have low standards for everything. And what you need to do is you need to have high standards. Don't think, oh yeah, you know what, inshallah I'll get a 40k job. You should be saying, you know what, inshallah I'll be employing people and I'll be paying them double 40k. Just raise your standards a little bit. Have high standards. So hunger, hard work, high standards. And then the last thing is holistic growth. Holistic growth. What I mean by that is that you have to grow yourself every single day. And you have to grow different parts of yourself. So we said mindset's so important. So you need to constantly be growing your mindset. But then knowledge is so important. You need to be growing your knowledge. But then if you've got mindset and knowledge and no spirituality, no connection with Allah, you have to be growing that. So every part of you has to grow. Because for you to achieve your vision and the things you want to do, the person you are right now cannot achieve it. You have to become someone different. And there has to be a transformation from who you are to who you want to be. And it's a bit like, when they were launching NASA to get to the moon, they said that when we first planned it, there were parts and things we needed which were not yet invented. But we had the belief that by the time we get to that stage, the technology will be there for us to do it.
Wow.
Right? And so I'm saying the same thing with you. And anyone who's watching that, if you've got this vision of doing something, I'm saying you can do it, but you need to realize that it's not going to be this guy right now. It's going to be another guy. So what is the path for you to become from that guy to this guy?
That's it. Self-empowerment. Allahu Akbar. I think, subhanallah, jazakallahu khairan, because this episode has been really heavy. I'll be very honest.
Sorry, I'll put you to sleep.
No. I mean, heavy as in very information loaded. And I think if anyone's listening to this, and they're probably going to even agree with me, you need to watch this back and take notes. You need to take notes, because a lot of this stuff, it needs to be internalized. It really needs to be internalized. Information is one thing, but knowledge is when you act on that information.
Yes.
That's what they say true knowledge is, when you act upon it. So if you know all of these things, but you're not doing anything with it, it's very important. Because when we get into these conversations, I guarantee you, if me and you went and we had a third guy here, and this guy was like a bum, on the street, he would agree with everything we're saying and be like, and he'll bring his own points from his own life. But then, why do you find yourself in such a low situation then? It's a lack of implementation of that action. I'm not talking about the fact that he's homeless or anything like that, but I'm talking about low situations we find ourselves in our lives. We have to firstly question ourselves. Like Allah says in Surah Al-Ra'd, that He's telling us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that Allah only changes the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So the moment that you make the intention, I'm going to change what's in myself, that's when you're going to see change.
And you know, that's
when Allah will help you.
But another thing with this is that you're saying that person sitting there, if you want one, like someone's watching and they're like, but how am I going to do it? I'll give you one simple thing to do is go out there and give. Go and give. Go out there, join an organization, right? And volunteer for somewhere and give. You know, I've found by giving, I've always got more. Now, when you go and give for Allah, I'm talking about time, not even money, Like, give for the sake of Allah, the result is always so much better. For example, I met some of my best friends because of volunteering. I got my dream job because of volunteering. I met my wife because of volunteering. Like, everything great that happened in my life was because I gave for the sake of Allah. So if there's someone here now who's thinking, who's thinking, I'm a bum, I don't know what to do, I'm just stuck here. It's like, you know what? Pick up the phone and go and volunteer for someone. It doesn't matter. Just tell them, I'll stand in the car park. I'll do anything. Start at the bottom if you have to.
I really like
just
that.
Go and give your time to one thing. One thing. You know, when I started practicing, I wanted to get away from a lot of brothers that I was with because they were up to no good like I was, right? So what did I do? I joined this thing called the Muslim Youth Helpline. I became a counselor. I was dealing with issues like sexual abuse, self-harm, suicide, these kind of tough things. And I just dedicated myself to it. And I said, you know what? Rather than spending time on the streets, I'm going to go do this. And I just gave all my time to it. And I'm saying, if you go and you give for the sake of Allah, the result that you get back is going to be phenomenal.
Allahu Akbar.
Inshallah
ta'ala. Jazakallahu khairan, Brother Muhammad, for coming on the show.
No problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure,
to
hosting you on ReRooted. SubhanAllah, brothers and sisters, I think there's many notes, many lessons that we can all take from. And one of the things that we like to do here at ReRooted is get lessons from each episode. We want each episode to benefit you as you listen to it and watch it. We don't want an episode to go by where you're just thinking, okay, what was that about? That was pointless. This 45 minutes, this 50 minutes that you give us, we really, really hope that inshallah it benefits you and it really, really changes your life and helps you to become a better person, inshallah. If you have not downloaded any of the apps that we are on all major podcast platforms, iTunes, Google, the Google ones as well. We're on every single platform out there, inshallah, so make sure you listen to us, Spotify as well. And also, if there's any suggestions you have for us, leave them in the comment section down below. And lastly, but not leastly, subscribe to our YouTube channel here at iERA to keep up to date with all of our work. We're, alhamdulillah, in many, many different countries doing some amazing work. And if you'd like to keep up with that, make sure you hit subscribe. Until the next episode, I've been your host, Musa Adnan. Take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's a wrap.